Have you ever really thought about what happens when we plug something massive into the wall? I mean, really massive. Well, there's this hidden, almost invisible drama that plays out across the entire continent. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the power grid's biggest secret. All right, so to get our heads around this, let's start with a scenario that's actually happening all over the country right now. It all kicks off with one simple question.
So imagine this, a brand new data center. I'm talking a huge power-hungry building for AI or cloud computing. It comes online. It needs a city's worth of electricity, and it needs it like yesterday. So what happens next? How does the grid, this vast interconnected machine, actually respond to that sudden jolt of demand?
Well, the first thing that happens is this frantic scramble up something called the price ladder. To meet that sudden need for power, the grid operator has to find it somewhere, and it does that by paying more and more and more for every single megawatt. You can think of it like a wild, real-time auction for electricity. The grid operator starts by scooping up all the cheapest power available, but as that new data center sucks up more and more juice, they're forced to call on the next cheapest source, and then the next, and each step up that ladder pushes the price higher for everyone. And this is how that ladder works. Right at the bottom, you've got your cheapest stuff, the baseline power from nuclear, wind, and coal that's pretty much always running. As demand spikes, we start climbing. We fire up the more flexible, efficient gas plants. Then we have to turn on the really expensive, fast-acting peaker plants that run on gas or even oil. If that's still not enough, we hit scarcity pricing. That's when batteries dump all their energy and big factories get paid to shut down. And at the very top, well, that's danger territory. We're talking mandatory curtailments and the very real risk of blackouts. Now, here's the thing you absolutely have to understand. High prices do not magically make new power plants appear. The grid can only use what's already built and already connected. And getting a new project approved and plugged in, that can take the better part of a decade. So that price spike is just a flashing red light showing stress on the system we already have. But here's the twist. This entire price ladder, this whole scramble for more generation, it's just a symptom, not the actual disease. It kind of distracts us from the grid's real bottleneck. And this is the core of that secret. If you look at the country as a whole, from the solar farms baking in the desert to the wind turbines spinning on the plains, we are not short on the ability to generate electricity. We have plenty of it. The real problem, the one that causes those crazy price spikes and threatens to turn the lights off, is getting that power from where it's made to where it's needed. Our grid is basically stuck in one giant coast-to-coast traffic jam. This slide just lays it all out, plain and simple. The number one culprit time and time again is transmission congestion, literal traffic jams on the high-voltage power lines. After that, you've got limits on just plugging new stuff in, and then the limits of our local neighborhood wires. You see generation availability down there? Actually, running out of power plants is a distant fourth. It is almost always a delivery problem. To really get why this is happening, you have to appreciate just how weird our electrical grid is. This quote just nails it. We built our entire modern world on top of a system with some really deep, really funky physical quirks. And this right here is the heart of the weirdness. Every single power plant, from a hydro dam in California to a gas plant in Maine, has to spin in perfect, synchronized rhythm. Think of it less like a flexible network and more like one enormous continent-sized machine where all the gears are physically interlocked. A problem in one tiny corner puts instant physical stress on a generator 1,000 miles away. It's that rigid mechanical link that makes our grids so fragile and so difficult to move power across long distances. So, if the old roads are hopelessly clogged, what's the answer? Well, it's pretty simple, right? We need a new kind of road. We need an electrical superhighway. And the technology for that superhighway is called high voltage direct current, or HVDC. It's a total game changer. On the left, you see our current AC grid, that single, fragile, synchronized machine. On the right is HVDC. It's not a rigid machine, it's more like a smart, controllable valve. It can bypass the traffic jams, it's super stable over thousands of miles, and it lets you decouple different regions. So a problem in one area doesn't cascade and take everyone else down with it. So what is this stuff, really? Put simply, HVDC is the technology that lets us build the equivalent of an interstate highway system, but for electrons. It's how you can move massive amounts of power from, say, the windy plains of the Midwest all the way to the big cities on the coasts, and do it efficiently and reliably. But here's the key.
To truly solve the problem, we can't just build a few of these lines here and there. The big vision, the one that grid planners and engineers keep coming back to, is a nationally planned HVDC backbone, a kind of electrical skeleton for the whole country. A plan for that might look something like this: 5 main corridors that connect the country's incredibly diverse energy resources. You'd have a western spine for all that hydro and solar, a central one to move wind power out of the plains, an eastern one to balance out summer and winter demand, and then 2 that run east-west to take advantage of time zones, sending solar power west as the sun sets in the east. You see how it all connects? It creates a resilient, efficient, truly national market for electricity.
Okay, this all sounds pretty perfect, right? The technology exists. China is already building these systems at a massive scale. So what's the holdup? What's stopping us? I mean, it's the obvious question, isn't it? If this is such a clear game changer, why haven't we built it yet? Well, the answer, as it turns out, has absolutely nothing to do with technology. Here are the real blockers. First, you've got politics. A single line crossing 8 states needs 8 different approvals, and any one of them can kill the entire project. Then there's the economics. You get these huge fights over who pays for the line versus who actually gets the cheaper power. And finally, you have incentives. A lot of existing utilities would rather build their own expensive local power plants than open the floodgates to competition from cheap, clean power from hundreds of miles away. So the ultimate takeaway here is this: we have solved the physics problem. We know exactly how to build an electrical superhighway that would make power cheaper, cleaner, and way more reliable for everyone. The problem is now one of governance, of political will, and of getting the rules of the road right. And let's just end on this final thought, because it truly puts the scale of this opportunity in perspective. Solving our grid's traffic problem isn't just some small incremental improvement. It's a fundamental transformation. It would deliver more value than almost any other energy investment we could possibly make. The question is no longer can we do it, but will we?